Hello everyone and welcome to, 2024, brand new year. Thank you very much for joining us, and of course it's a new working week. Well, what are you doing? Are you working? Are you having a holiday? Are you having a break? A lot of people in the West, of course, do take this time of the year for a break. Not me. I've got a very busy week ahead, so sort of tried to relax the last couple of days to just steel myself for what's going to be, a very busy week. Hopefully you're well. That's the main thing. Of course, the news doesn't stop, and mistakes in the news haven't stopped either, like this one. A correction from the Tourism Authority of Thailand on its Facebook page, wrongly citing old statistics regarding Bangkok being the most visited city in the world in 2023. Now, we did this story last week saying that Bangkok, was the most visited city in the world 2023. And I think in second place there was Paris and a few others, and Pattaya and Phuket were included in the top 20 as well. Now, some very clever or perceptive viewers said those numbers don't quite add up. And they were sort of presenting a bit of the maths, showing the number of people that had arrived in Thailand this year and saying, those numbers in that survey don't seem to make sense. Well, they were right. The data, originally collected from MasterCard's Global Destination Cities Index, in fact, was from the year 2019. Which was the year that, Thailand had the largest number of tourists up to date of some nearly 40 million people. So that's the numbers that were showing Bangkok well out in front as the number one visited city, and even including in places 14 and 15, Phuket and Pattaya. But as we've found out, the numbers weren't quite right. Now, who's made the mistake? Was it MasterCard making the mistake? Was it the TAT giving the wrong numbers? Was there a misunderstanding? Either way, it just doesn't look good. But here are the actual numbers for last year, and it's been reported in Nation, and foreign tourist arrivals in Thailand crossed the 27 million mark for last year. And they were, I think, hoping for between 25, 28, 29 million for the year. Well, they got to 27 million, and a lot of that over the past couple of months as the numbers really started to surge. And Malaysia was the top source market for foreign tourists with 4.4 million arrivals, followed by China with 2.7 million arrivals. Then it says Singapore with 1.9 million and India with 1.6 million. Again, there seems to be a bit of fiddling with the numbers there. We'll see some more reports in a moment that have got different numbers. It says the government of Thailand is targeting 3.5 million tourist arrivals in 2024. Is that a decimal point thing? Is that meant to be 35 million? Again, another mistake in the reporting. And the majority of foreign tourists to Thailand in 2023 came from Asia, with Europe and the Americas accounting for a smaller share. Now, reported in BangkokPost.com, Malaysians and Chinese top foreign arrivals in 2023. Their numbers are a bit different. Well, the 4.44 million coming from Malaysia is the same. And then 3.42 million arriving from China, 1.62 million from South Korea, 1.59 million from India, and 1.43 million from Russia. No mention of Singapore whatsoever in that top five. And next year, the government intends to raise revenue to 3.5 trillion baht. Is that where that 3.5 number came from? So statistics and damn lies. Bit of misreporting there by some of the publishers, but it looks like some 27 million people did arrive in Thailand last year. That's foreigners. Now, what does that mean for this year? I think they're expecting the number to obviously increase. Whether it'll get up to that 39.6 million of 2019 is yet to be seen. I sort of doubt it. There's all sorts of reasons why tourism still won't reach those numbers for at least the next 12 months, or could be even longer. Now, one thing that could help Thai tourism is the addition of what's called a digital nomad visa. Now, I've been saying I think this is a good reason for years. Now, the Thai government's not going to listen to me, but the South Korean government did. South Korea to launch digital nomad visa on January the 1st, which is today. And South Korea will start issuing digital nomad visas from January the 1st, which will allow some foreign residents to stay for up to 2 years while maintaining a job back home. And the Justice Ministry says to make remote work and vacation of foreigners in Korea smoother, we've decided to launch a new digital nomad visa, highlighting the rise of the workation trend. And they say so far foreigners were required to apply for tourist visas or just stay for less than 90 days without a visa for workation in Korea. The new system will allow employees and employers in overseas firms to tour and work remotely in Korea for a longer period of time. And those who want to apply must submit documents to the South Korean embassy in their respective countries, proving they earn an annual income of nearly 85 million won. That, according to this article, is about 86,000 Singapore dollars. Applicants must submit additional documents, including verification of employment and details of any criminal record. They're required to hold private health insurance with coverage of at least 100 million won. To ensure the ability to travel back home in an emergency, and applicants must be 18 years or older and have worked in the current field for at least a year. And then after receiving the visa, digital nomads will be allowed to bring along a spouse and children younger than 18, and the visa will allow holders to initially stay in South Korea for 1 year with an opportunity to extend their stay for another year. So a well-named digital nomad visa. This, of course, for South Korea. So I think the Thai government might be watching this with interest to see what the sort of take-up rate is, how it goes, if there's any problems, and also the response from so-called digital nomads as to whether they think it's well run or a good idea. I think a digital nomad visa specifically named and targeted at those groups would be a very good idea for Thailand, but at the moment nothing in the wings which would suggest that's going to happen. Well, speaking of South Korea, just a little article I saw pass by. Nation Thailand recording that Psy's Gangnam Style tops 5 billion YouTube views. Well, a lot of artists have got a lot more than 5 billion YouTube views now. What makes Psy important to YouTube history is that he was the first artist to get over 1 billion views. And I think he was the first to sort of use YouTube to launch his, not so much launch, but popularise his music career. And it's been taken on by plenty of other South Korean artists since then. Artists like BTS and Blackpink have literally made their careers on YouTube and found it an important part of their outreach to a broader community beyond just the K-pop realm. And Gangnam Style, a 2012 global sensation by South Korean singer-rapper Psy, reached another milestone on Saturday as the song's popularity has continued for more than a decade. And the music video for the song exceeded 5 billion views on YouTube. And the song made him the first K-pop act to rise to number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 main singles chart. And Psy spent a total of 7 weeks in that position. Well, that was slightly bettered about 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, with BTS when they reached the number 1 Billboard position with Dynamite. So Psy really responsible for bringing K-pop to the world. And its music video, this is Psy, became the first video to exceed YouTube's view limit when it surpassed 2 billion views back in 2014, prompting the service to upgrade its counter. The video later surpassed 3 billion in November 2017 and 4 billion in March 2021. Well done, Psy. He'll be able to live off the royalties and the earnings from YouTube, from that YouTube video, for the rest of his life. To some more serious news, we head now to Phuket and the PhuketExpress.com. 5-year-old Russian girl dies after speedboat crash near Maiton Island in Phuket. And a 5-year-old Russian girl was pronounced dead and a boat captain fell unconscious and was injured after a Phuket boat crash. Additionally, 6 foreign tourists and a boat crew member sustained various injuries after their speedboat in the same accident crashed with rocks near the Maiton Island in Chalong. Well, that should be off Chalong, Maiton Island in Pangar Bay. And the 5-year-old Russian girl, whose name was withheld due to her age, was initially in a coma, and the 41-year-old boat captain had fallen unconscious with severe facial injuries. And 6 other foreign tourists and a boat crew member had sustained various injuries, and they were taken back to the pier before being rushed to hospital. And the Russian girl was later sadly pronounced dead at a local hospital. And the story says the speedboat with 7 foreign tourists had departed from the Chalong Pier in the morning to Phi Phi Island in Krabi. On the way back to Phuket, the speedboat had stopped at the Maiton Island in Chalong before the crash. Now, exactly what happened with that incident has not been explained at this time. There was a bit of weather moving through Pangar Bay later in the afternoon yesterday. Whether they were sheltering somewhere near Maiton Island on their way back to Phuket, well, we don't know at this stage. But another incident involving foreigners and reported in KhaosodEnglish.com. Bus crashes into a tree, seriously injuring 3 foreigners and a Thai. And 4 passengers, 3 of whom are foreigners, were seriously injured, and 23 people suffered minor injuries when a tour bus heading from Bangkok to Koh Tao and Phangan crashed into a mahogany tree in Prachuap Khiri Khan shortly before 4:30 a.m. yesterday. And the scene of the incident occurred around the Khao Po curve in Petkasem Road. Only 2 people were not hurt, while 27 injured people were taken to a local hospital. And among the 4 seriously injured were a 33-year-old Turkish citizen, 24-year-old Brazilian, a 31-year-old Russian, and a 64-year-old Thai. Mr. Krit Mallison, the driver of the double-decker bus, stated he was attempting to overtake another vehicle but failed, then lost control of the vehicle and smashed into a tree. He was charged with careless driving causing harm to others. So more bus incidents, more boat incidents. If the Thai government really wants to address getting those tourism numbers up this year, it's going to have to address both the real-life situation and the perception of Thailand as a safe place to visit. So floods were in the news for the last week last year. Let's check on exactly what's going on with those floods. We go to The Star. This is thestar.com.my. And water recedes and massive cleanup in southern Thailand begins. Heavy downpours triggered floods in 5 southern provinces, Naritawat, Pattani, Yala, Songkhla and Satun, since December the 22nd. As the flood situation improves and floodwaters continue to recede, the affected areas are now reduced to 3 provinces, Naritawat, Yala and Pattani. They're the 3 southernmost provinces right on the Malaysian border, and the number of households affected by the floods is also reduced to 12,469 compared to 18,783 on Saturday. So the flood situation is obviously improving. And a total of 10 districts in the 3 provinces of Pattani, Naritawat and Yala remain inundated, but he said the floodwaters have receded in all areas. So let's hope the rain does continue to hold off down there and that they can continue with the clean-up there in the south of Thailand and the north of Malaysia. To this story, I noted with interest, it says more than 1 billion people will head to the poles across Southeast Asia in 2024. This reported in CNN.com. And it notes that 4 Southeast Asian countries are expected to head to the polls in a grand test for democracy that will see nearly 2 billion people across Bangladesh, Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka cast their ballots from January through to September this year. Well, not just those 4 countries up in North Asia. You've got Taiwan going to the polls in January, and also Indonesia is going to the polls in February. So a large chunk of the world's population heading to the polls this year, and the outcomes of many of those polls are going to be important to the way this area is shaped, certainly over the next 12 months. And with that, I thank you very much for joining us on the first day of 2024. Hopefully, some of you might still be celebrating. You might be watching this and it's still 2023, but it's well into 2024 now. There were a few bangs last night. I think I woke up briefly as people were setting off a few firecrackers, but nothing terribly big here at the Turtle Beach. Up in Bangkok, it was spectacular indeed. I'm sure you'll see some of those photos throughout the day. A big thanks to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine, who is again with us, and hopefully they'll join us on the journey throughout 2024. And there's a link in the description, apart from this website, that you can go to check out their private bespoke tours onto Pangar Bay, well, anytime you're in Phuket. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.